I wanted to talk about this election fraud thing some more, if you guys don't mind. We haven't talked about this, John, but I don't know if you guys saw this. This is a video from, who is it, CBS, I think, and it's talking about a group in North Carolina that is very concerned about undocumented immigrants voting because, of
In
course,
North Carolina.
Yeah, right. Because of course. Oh, that's a good point too. It gets to that as well. Like, the numbers they're dealing with here, because of course, if you're from, I don't know, Ecuador, and you walk across across the Central American deserts, and you come into the United States, evading border patrol just so you can, get a job picking strawberries or something, you're really concerned with getting in that federal election, risking your safety and the support for your family so you can vote for Kamala Harris. Like, that makes a whole lot of sense. That for that one vote, you're really going to try. So I'm going to share this video here about this group of American patriots that are saying that they want to stop this influx of illegal aliens voting, and just take a look at what processes they're using. That's going to be my favorite part of this, on what their mechanism they're using to determine this.
Voters from their rolls. But officials say the number of non-citizens who've actually cast votes in federal elections is minuscule. North Carolina identified less than 50 in its most recent audit, although that was in 2016.
So usually this is a total non-issue.
That is 50 too many as far as I'm concerned, Natalie. I don't know about you, but that seems like that's really going to tip the balance in a presidential election.
We don't believe that there's any proof at all whatsoever that this is a widespread issue. It is illegal to vote if you are a non-citizen.
Don't risk your American dream.
The fight to clean up voter rolls and prevent non-citizens from voting is a focus of conservative election integrity groups who are distributing mailers and hosting in-person events.
They are voters that are most likely to be ineligible or illegal.
Jim Womack is leading a team of more than 1,800 volunteers in North Carolina who are combing through voter rolls to identify what they consider suspicious voters.
So here's my question to you guys. What do you think the criteria would be for someone to be a suspicious voter? Like, what would you guess? Don't answer. We'll just see. I don't know. I take your guess, like, in your mind, but we'll see exactly what they describe as a suspicious voter.
Can't wait.
Trying to come up with county by county lists.
It's a list of suspicious voters. Again, not necessarily illegal or ineligible voters, but people that hit our suspicious list.
CBS News obtained a video of Womack discussing how to identify those suspicious voters. We showed it to him to get his explanation.
If you've got folks that that were registered and they're missing information, and they were registered in the last 90 days before the election, and they've got Hispanic sounding last names, that probably is a suspicious voter.
But why would you single out Hispanic sounding last names?
In that case, I would have to listen to the full context. The Hispanic sounding last names certainly is not exclusive. Anyone who is lacking the required information, we certainly would consider them as a suspicious voter. We are trying to find every illegitimate voter and to challenge the ones that shouldn't be voting.
All right, so yeah.
Big thoughts.
Go, take it away, Natalie. Take it away.
Yeah. First of all, my last name would probably end up on one of these.
Absolutely.
Changes.
First on the list.
Just I'm number one. So what I find really interesting about this is the psychological and the philosophical component, because the reality is there was not widespread voter fraud in the past election cycle, and they are desperate to prove that their inaccurate framing of what happened is true, because if not, then everything else they believe falls like a house of cards very quickly. And it would be so embarrassing for their ego to have to deal with the reality that they've been fleeced by a con man known as Donald Trump. Now, that's part one. Part two of this is we need to make voting more accessible, because not enough people are voting, right?
Yep.
Voting should be automatic when you turn 18. You should immediately be registered just by the state, just because you are now 18. One of my friends, she is here legally, but she is not a citizen of the United States. She is from South America, and she told me in where she's from, voting is required. Like, you have to vote, and if you don't vote, you get like fined, and it's like problematic. And I said to her, what are your thoughts on that? And she said in the language, it's considered taking the bitter pill, like swallowing the bitter pill. Like, whether or not you like the choices, it is your duty. You swallow the bitter pill and you pick the person you think is going to do the best that for you right in this moment. And I find it all very interesting because I think in this country, we have played down the value and the importance of voting so much that we have allowed for this kind of situation to breed, because it's almost like we're realizing too late, God, they don't want us to vote, because when we vote, we win, and we win important things and we get things done. And when we have those supermajorities, we could do something big like universal health care, paid family leave, codify Roe v. Wade into federal law, like all of it, right? And so now they're terrified that we've kind of figured this out. And so they're doing everything to prove the point that there's all this fraud so that they can stand there and say they were right all along, when we all know how very wrong and how very embarrassing this all is for them.
It's interesting because you brought up the automatic voter registration thing. And that's something I also believe that we should definitely do, because why the fuck not?
Why not?
But something I always say to conservatives when they're like, hey, we want to make sure that these elections are secure, that no one's voting who shouldn't be, let's implement a voter ID law. And I'm like, I will agree to that if and only if we automatically register everyone in this country to vote at the age of 18, make it an opt-out system, and send them a free in-the-mail voter identification card whenever they request it. And Republicans don't want that. No. And that is, if they proposed that bill, it would pass in a fucking heartbeat. But they won't, because that's not the point. The point is the voter suppression in their mind. And even if I were to take them seriously, right? In my mind, I would, if someone casts a vote illegally, that is equal and opposite to someone not casting a vote because of a voter security law. To me, that is equal and opposite. Those two cancel each other out. But in their mind, they think it's worse to cast a vote illegally than it is to stop someone from voting legally. And like, that is just such a backed up, fucked up way of thinking to me. It's crazy.
Well, let's be real too. 2 out of 3 of the people sitting here right now were not included in voting when this country was founded, right? TJ and I, we were not involved in that conversation. Oh, we didn't get that chance to vote. And so the system, if you want to call it that, is kind of working how it was designed, in the sense that 2 out of 3 of us, they don't really want to hear from us, because our views on things, our take on our vantage point might be a little different than the people in power that looked like your ancestors, John, in that very real sense. And so I think we also aren't accounting for the reality of the deeply racist and sexist policies around voting laws, and how that suppression has led us to the point where if your name looks a certain way, we're going to flag you as suspicious.
Yeah, I know. My favorite part of that clip was exactly that part, Nelly, where they asked them, like, so these are your words, and you're saying,
I need more context.
Yes,
I need more context for what I said.
Yeah, it's like, if anyone would know, it'd be you. You seem to be speaking you never stuttered one time. You seem to have an absolute goal in mind here. What did you mean by that? Oh, I'd have to check to see what I said, because we all know what you said. Like, yeah, we don't trust Hispanic sounding names. And now that's such a great point, talking about how they need this fiction to be fact. That there's, like, remember that Trump was elected the first time? He won the election, and still he spent like 6 months saying 3 million illegal immigrants voted, and that's why I lost the popular vote. It didn't even matter. It didn't matter at all. He won, and everyone acknowledged it, but he still wanted to push this idea that actually I won the popular vote too, and there was no evidence for it at all. They had these stories about buses full of people voting, never materialized anything, and they've been trying their best to prove this, and it never. 50 cases 50 cases of possible people who were voting that weren't citizens in the entire state, millions of votes. And they had like, what, 18 volunteers taking time out of their day for free to check to see if these folks are there. And there's nothing there at all. And John, what you mentioned, listen, I've said the same thing, the exact same thing about voting. If you're really concerned about voter fraud, like if you genuinely are, if you really think it's an issue, John's solution would solve everything. Oh, John and Natalie mentioned it first with the voter registration, that it's absurd that you have to take an extra step to vote, that if you're a citizen and you're 18 years old, you have to go down to the county and say, yes, I would like to vote, please, and fill out some paperwork and shit. No, the government knows who you are, where you live, where you were born. They know your social security number. They know when you turn 18. Every day, thousands or whatever, millions of people turn 18. Boom, those people automatically register to vote. There shouldn't be an extra step involved, and they can send you the card, and it'll be free. And that way, then when Republicans would say, oh, well, you're saying that you can't get an ID, in that case, you would have an argument. Yeah, if it's a free ID, you can get at any moment. If you lose it, go down to the courthouse. They'll give you one that day, and you can vote. If it's the day of if it's an actual election day, head over there. They'll print one out for you 24/7. I mean, at least during election season, there's no problem. But John, what you were saying and why they hate this, because if you talk to Republicans about this, they will straight up tell you, yeah, voting should be hard. They say
that.
They do.
100%.
Yeah, they will absolutely say, yeah, voting should be difficult. It should be inconvenient. It should be hard. We should keep it on a Tuesday during a cold weather month. We should not make it a national holiday. We should make voting like and I always say, it's like, because they'll always downplay it, because John brings this up all the time with his favorite example about systemic discrimination, and how the neighborhoods that where you stay a really long time to vote, you're standing out in line, are suspiciously dark-skinned a lot of times in the country, and the affluent white neighborhoods, you never have people standing in line for hours to vote. It's always easy and convenient. And they'll say, oh, well, so what? If you're not willing to stand in line 4 hours to choose the future of your country, how much do you love the nation?
And you can't give them water either.
You can't, yeah, exactly, yeah. But if you make them take off their MAGA hat, that is a violation of your rights as an American citizen. You should be able to wear whatever you want while you're in line. And it's like, okay, listen, if you were driving to work and on the 4 or 5 mile trip you had to work or whatever, there was a pothole every mile, just a massive pothole. You knew where they were, you could navigate them, you could get around it. But why should you have to? Why?
Right.
Just fill the potholes. That's exactly what we're trying to do. And yeah, I just, like, there's people who believe that the citizenry should actually, that our power does derive from the just consent of the governed, and those who say no, it doesn't. The just consent of the governed is fuck that. We want our fascist dictatorship, and we want it right now.
Yeah.
And that's a wonderful segue, TJ.
Mhm.
One topic
I'm pretty good at it.
About how the conservatives, they don't actually care about ideological consistency.
They don't.
That's not a thing.
They do not care about like rules applying equally to everyone. They just care about what advances the interests of my in-group is good and what doesn't is bad. Right. Thank you guys so much for coming and watching this show. You made it to the end. Even if you are a Republican who we shit down your throat this whole time because the algorithm loves to send our videos to you, thank you for making it this far. I'm sure you won't like it, but maybe subscribe and hate watch a couple more of our videos. And if you want to hate watch some of Natalie's content, Natalie, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can go to TikTok and Instagram at Natalie Bencivenga. You can go to my website, www.nataliebencivenga.com. And I also host radio on kdkaradio.com every Saturday from 2 to 5. And you can check out some interviews there as well. And these two pop up every now and then. So hopefully they'll be both on very soon. So you can check me out there. And also pencapitalstar.com. I have a series called Facts Over Fear.
Thank you so much, Natalie. Folks, we really appreciate you guys joining me, John, and Wolfie for yet another show. And, we look forward to the next time Natalie interviews a famous black musician or actor and decides to come on the show and gloat about it. So next time, hop on and we'll see what we can do. Catch you guys later. All right. That was a hell of a show.